That's why they're hitting people up for breaking blasphemy laws in Pakistan. Like anyone gives a shit. Everything's against the law in Pakistan. But they're actually sending out, hey, you broke blasphemy laws. You're speaking out against the Quran, and you're like, I don't give a I'm Mindy Robinson, and you're watching Red, White, and FU Unapologetically Patriotic. Today's guest, TurtleBoy Sports, my favorite investigative blog. So, TurtleBoy, I've heard you faced the Facebook censorship ban. How many bans have you had by now?
We invented the Facebook censorship ban. We've lost in the last year. We've had now 38 pages taken down. We've lost a total of 250,000 followers. Most of the people that, like, obviously the big one we lost on November 28th, 2017. We lost 112,000 followers. That sucked. We never got that back. But then we lost another one with 30,000 like a couple days later. And then we just keep rebuilding pages, get them up to 25, 30,000. They get the axe. We've had some pages that have been taken down, and you can appeal it, right? And so we figure if we're getting taken down by people mass reporting us, let's just mass appeal it, and we just appeal it 100 times, and then it gets put back up. We had one page, TurtleBoy Sports Forever and TurtleBoy Sports Refugees. Both of those were taken down and put back up 6 times. And so for them to admit, like, we made a mistake, right? We're putting you back up. And then we're going to make that mistake 6 more times. Now, I would call them up, but of course, they don't have a phone number. They don't have an email. And to me, it's like, imagine that. Imagine like Walmart, like you bought something at Walmart, right? And it just broke, didn't work, whatever. And then you just, out of luck, can't call anyone. You just screwed. Like, that's Facebook's business model. They're worth so much money, and they employ almost nobody in content review. Like, they outsource them to like India and stuff like that. These people have like seconds to figure out like nuances. So obviously, if you just mass report everything, which leftists tend to do, right, you can take down any page you want. Eventually, some idiot in India isn't going to actually read what you're reporting, and it's going to get taken down. It's so easy. So welcome to my world.
Why
it sucks.
Have you angered so many people, TurtleBoy?
Because we expose
our followers kind of what you do for the most part, and it is hilarious. You're going to want to check out pretty much every article they ever post. If you want to explain it.
We expose the underbelly of society that frequently gets a pass, right? So like we expose people that are selling food stamps on Facebook, that are openly committing crimes and getting away with it. People who are, and we do a lot of like serious journalism too. Like we did a big thing obviously last year on the Massachusetts State Police once we found out that a judge's daughter had her arrest report scrubbed. She was arrested for heroin and driving under the influence, and she offered to give the state trooper a blab. And she said that, I had to so many guys to get all this heroin, blah, blah, blah. And that got scrubbed from the report per the orders of the district attorney, right, to help his buddy out, who's the judge. And a bunch of troopers contacted us. And because we use anonymity with our bloggers, right, although I'm not anonymous anymore, obviously, because we, anonymity, police officers and people like that feel comfortable coming to us with stories that they want exposed. Like the whole Jussie Smollett thing coming out is because cops went rogue, right? Like cops went into like, screw this guy. I'm talking to like the guys from the local Chicago media. I'm going to tell them what really happened. Except around here, they don't do that with the media. They do that with us. They come to us. And so because of that, we make a lot of enemies. People don't like this and they want to silence us, right? And they boycott our advertisers. They were blacklisted by Google AdSense. They take on our Facebook pages. They do everything. Like I get sued all the time. I'm sued for libel very frequently, undefeated in court, by the way. But just the way it's a scary world we're living in, that these people are willing to go to such lengths to censor speech that they don't agree with, rather than just not reading that speech. That's what yeah.
Yes, and you've obviously had problems with Twitter, too.
Yeah.
Censoring you.
Twitter's even worse. With Facebook, we can keep making new pages till the cows come home. That's no problem. So we'll always have some type of presence on Facebook. But with Twitter, I had, I think, around 20,000 followers in 2017, got taken down on Halloween of 2017. Whatever, make a new one, get it up to 5,000 followers, taken down. Start a new one, got out to 10,000 followers. Then in August, right, middle of August, there was they implemented some new technology, and they have a new thing where they trace if you've ever been suspended previously, you're just blacklisted. And you might ask, like, well, how can they blacklist you? You can just keep making accounts. They track your IP address. So, like, if you were to come to my house and sign into your Twitter account using my Wi-Fi, your account would become disabled, right? Because you'd be using my Wi-Fi. If I've had this happen with friends, I invite them over. I'm like, try to sign into your Twitter.
Come over for some wine, some chips, and
Yeah.
I'll probably get you every deplatformed and everything possible.
Don't care, you know what I mean? They can afford to lose. They're like, I never use it anyway, whatever. And so, because I've tried that, like, people make burner accounts for me, and then I'm like, okay, give me the name and password, and I log into them.
You
boom,
made me
done.
one. You sent it over, and it still didn't work. Remember?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So what I did the other day, so I was due for a new phone, and I went to the store, and I'm like, look, I'm like, I want to get on Twitter again. I'm like, so they go, okay, here's what you do. So I talk with the Verizon people. So you got to delete the app because we're going to carry all the information in your new phone. So delete the app. That's the first thing. Get rid of that. And when you're at home, never use Wi-Fi. Just use your data to sign in, and that's fine because I'm on a business plan. I have unlimited data. So I've been on Twitter now for like 4 days. It's like at TB Daily News. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. Might have found.
And also, I have to explain.
It won't last.
I want to explain to my followers, you're not even a political website. You don't focus on politics, but because the people you call out tend to be the dregs of society. I mean, these are, we jokingly would probably say Democrats, because a lot of them are abusing food stamps, they're abusing welfare, they're pretty much abusing every program that they can get their hands on. And then they'll brag about it on, Facebook. So it's not that you're political, but it's that you're pissing off the same people I do every day, which is why you get flagged and that kind of stuff. And I think the issue is there's not much else we can do at this point. I'm in the middle of a Facebook ban, again, for speaking out against anti-Semitism. Luckily, the page is still running. We got demonetized. I think it was up and running for about 4 days. We started making money. And then Facebook decided that you're not allowed to make money on pages that talk about any debatable social issues. Yep. Which is weird because, people do all the time. Like all the other leftists, there's commercials and the breaks of everything they do. So obviously it's...
How do you feel about regulation of companies like this?
Well, I think, everyone goes, well, it's a private company, you don't have to use it, it's not like it's, in the Bill of Rights that you need to be on Facebook, but they created this platform, which started out as a wonderful tool to keep in touch with everyone. I mean, how else could you still know what the kids you graduated with are up to, or their kids and stuff? So it can be a very sweet thing, but obviously it's a way to communicate, and so you kind of get dependent on it. You have your memories on there, you have your data, you have all your pictures, your stories, they do that Facebook memories every day, like 6 years ago, and it is kind of cool. But but people are like, well, you don't have to be on there, or you don't have to be political on there. I'm like, yeah, but I think
you and I have to be on.
They're allowed to create whatever terms of service they want. They're a private company. They are allowed to create any terms of service within legality. The problem is they are not enforcing those terms equally, fairly, not even close. Like we can prove it all day, every day. It's almost laughable. Like you yourself, you got a ban for posting a Christmas tree?
Oh,
no
you
one
should
checked
see
that? Like, really? I've been banned for talking about Antifa, for critiquing Sharia law. Like, it's absolutely fair. So my idea is that if you can have a terms of service, but if you do not apply them fairly and equally, then it's discrimination of some sorts. And people will say, well, conservatives or people that speak out against leftists anyway aren't protected. Well, maybe we should be. I mean, we're getting threatened and everything for wearing hats and stuff like that. We're getting doxxed left and right, and no one cares. So maybe we should protect people for their political beliefs. We shouldn't be deplatforming people because they disagree with what the owners or the CEOs want. That's unfair, and I think that's discrimination. I think that's the only way we're really going to nail them.
Well, you're not going to get them on discrimination because discrimination technically only applies to race, gender, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can't even discriminate.
If that gets changed.
It could. So basically what needs to happen is that, like you said, the terms of service are a legally binding contract. if they are kicking you off for things that are not in violation of the terms of service, which is happening to you, it's happening to me, it's completely random what people are kicked off for, right? Then they are violating their own terms of service. And now it's the government's job to come in and regulate them, to make sure that they are not doing this, because they are not people. They always say, well, you're not paying to be there. Well, that's technical. Well, you and I probably are. We do boosted posts and stuff like that, but they are making money off our presence. They are taking our data and they are selling it, and they're taking the users of all the people that we bring to their platform, and they're making money off of it, right? So they are doing that. And I would argue that, like, what you and I, we don't have, there's no alternative for social media to go to. There's them and Twitter, and that's it, basically. And, there's Instagram, but they own them too. And we have to be on there. 96% of journalists are on Twitter, right? It's the public square. It's where the president of the United States makes policy announcements. All 50 governors, every single member of the House of Representatives and the Senate has a Twitter account, right? And that is where important news is breaking and stuff, like the Jussie Smollett stuff all happened on Twitter. And so to say that, like, if this is our livelihood, this is our profession, and for them to just say, well, you can't be on it without cause, it's like, what? Well, you're taking away my ability to make a living, and you've created this monopoly. You've brought all these people in, and then you're just arbitrarily kicking people out with no due process whatsoever. And normally the left would be the ones, with these, billion-dollar companies owned by rich white guys that would be like, that needs to get fixed. But they don't, because social media is their playground. They realize, like, we own this. We got a good thing going here. We can kick off. We can spread information here. We can, spread all this stuff about Covington kids and hats and, smirking and all this stuff. And this board and it's very effective for them, don't you think?
Absolutely. But obviously the mainstream media is leftist controlled very heavily. It's almost hilarious when you read these headlines. Like, Trump can do anything, and then the next day it's just like, oh my God, it had to be negative. Like, they'll find the dump, like, he put ketchup on his steak. Yeah, we don't care. If you're really going to search that hard to find something negative, you just make it a thing. And I think social media was a way for people to see through the fake news, to call it out, so that when CNN says a story where, like, Trump overfed the fish, he just dumped it in, people on social media went through, found the original video, was like, well, that's a lie. Like, he did the same thing, the president of Japan did. It was just bizarre, like, to just watch a headline just lie like that. And so I think it was up to people on social media to call bullshit,
Right.
to call fake news when we see it. And I think that's probably the only thing that saved the election. And once they realized that people could have that voice, then they had to shut us down. I mean, I have conservative peers that are completely 100% deplatformed. You got Roger Stone, you've got Laura Loomer, you've got, like, Milo, they're Gavin, like, all these people are deplatformed on everything. Just like you, Roger Stone can't make a Twitter account. He can't even make a parody account, because they usually catch on to that. And it's not just Twitter and Facebook. Then it goes, to Instagram. Then it goes to Patreon. Now it's going to, like, they just got the leader of the Proud Boys. They just pulled his bank account. They're like, well, you're part of a white supremacist group. He's like, I'm black and Cuban. Huh? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't even make sense. What are you punishing here? And, like, Laura Loomer just got her account pulled yesterday. Like, we can't even have bank accounts?
Yeah.
What is going on? Like,
just stop existing.
It's absolutely insane. We've got Hamas and Hezbollah on Twitter.
Yeah.
Terrorist organizations, but, they're more worried about, James Wood's funny tweets and stuff. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know what the end game is. I don't know. I think someone and there are people that have started other platforms, but, they get buried.
Well, nobody's on. I don't want to go to a platform that no one's on.
Apple declared Gab to be hate speech and won't allow the app on the platform. So
going to like a platform that no one's on. People always tell me, go to MeWe, go to this. No one's there. It's like, I might as well write in my diary. Like, give me a break. And don't get me started on libertarians with their whole obsession with, like, whatever. Like, the government can't ever get involved ever. Like, just walk all over me, whatever. Like, don't even get me started on libertarians. But basically, the government is not evil. The government can regulate in a good way, right? And they're investigating, whether or not the Russians use Facebook and Twitter to manipulate the election. Well, guess what? It's Facebook and Twitter themselves that are doing that. By kicking off people, like, if I have information on the district attorney in Worcester County, right, that he is covering up with this Troopergate scandal, right, and I want to get that information out there to my followers, I can't do that. And so I can't spread information without that. Like I can't, what am I going to call all these people up and tell them? Am I going to stand in the middle of town square with the bell? Hear ye, hear ye. Like get realistic. This is a public utility. As long as they are a monopoly, it is. If there was actual viable options for people to go somewhere else for social media, that'd be one thing. But there isn't. So they are a utility. Like Verizon could not tell you, well, I don't like the content of the things that you're saying on the phone, so I'm going to cut you off, right? Of course they can't do that.
Yeah.
So why can Facebook and Twitter? It's insane. Insane.
Well, I just don't think the laws have caught up to technology. You know, it's not like our forefathers sat down and like, but what about the Twitter? Like, you know,
Yeah.
no one foresaw this kind of stuff coming.
Yeah.
And I think people are worried about government regulation, but because government regulation can be just as crooked. You know, if the election had gone the other way, sometimes I wonder. But yeah, no one's on these other platforms. I think they're not going to be successful until there's a way to get all your information that you've already had on your old platform to your new one. And there is actually a way to download all your data from Facebook. I mean, in theory, because I did it, and then after, you know, we'll get back to you in 5 days, we'll make you a nice file. Finally, my file's ready, and then it just won't download. I'm like, well, that was a waste of a week. Like, so they won't even let me take my information. So I don't know what we're going to do. I think it's just going to get worse before it gets better, really. I think eventually there's going to be so many people off the platform. It's going to start hitting the moderates and anyone with a dissenting opinion. It's going to be an echo chamber. It's going to die. And hopefully smart business people buy it up because, you know, it's such a great tool. And they get away with it. They sell our information, all this stuff they do. And you have to think, like, a Saudi prince is the second largest shareholder in Twitter now. That's why they're hitting people up for breaking blasphemy laws in Pakistan. Like, anyone gives a shit. Everything's against the law in Pakistan. Yeah. But they're actually sending out, you know, hey, you broke blasphemy laws. You're speaking out against the Quran. And you're like, I don't give a f***.
So here's the thing. It's up to conservatives, right? Like, they have to leave. You have to, like, it's all the, like, Ben Shapiro and Donald Trump need to stop using Twitter. That's the bottom line. I kind of look at them as traitors a little bit, right? Because to the cause.
Where, though? Then we'll be completely silenced. We'll be giving them what they want.
If Donald Trump leaves Twitter, he announces, I'm leaving Twitter, their company goes bankrupt overnight. Okay, he's got 60 million people that he brings to their platform every day. Without those 60 million people, they go broke. They fire everyone. Okay, because it's like it's like people like you and I with 100,000 followers. We're not big enough to cause a ripple effect. They would never dare touch Ben Shapiro and his 2 million followers, and he's got 5 million on Facebook, because that would be too much bad press, right? They can go after the smaller fish. They can go after Anthony Cumia and people like that, and Laura Loomer with 200,000 followers and stuff like that. But they wouldn't dare touch Ben Shapiro ever, no matter what he said. And that's the thing. It's like we can complain about this all we want, but ultimately conservatives are just feeding the beast by continuing to use this platform while there's like how many of Donald Trump's supporters have been kicked off of this platform, and yet he's loyal to them. He's making them money. You know, it's like they don't see it. And it's a good point with like the old lawmakers like Orrin Hatch. Like, you think Orrin Hatch, well, he's not in the Senate anymore. You think Chuck Grassley understands any of this? Of course not. It's just way too above. The one senator I do have faith in is this new guy from Missouri, Josh Hawley, that just took down McCaskill. He's very big into going after big techs. And I think that's what we need. We need younger conservatives who understand social media and the power that it yields to just replace these old fogies and come in there and just enact some common sense regulation that's like some type of bill of rights, like some type of bill of rights for users that use these platforms.
That would be nice, but like,
or you sue
that works. I don't know what else to do. Like, every time I can log into something, I'm actually surprised at this point. Do you ever get that? Like, there's a 1 minute delay, and you're like, oh, okay, good, it worked. Like, that's my life, is if I can actually click in. But, you know, part of me, that's the first people say, it's it'll get off the platform, you're making it money. I'm like, I'm communicating with people, and it's all I got right now, you know. And I think being on multiple platforms is the only thing that's saving people. So when you're kicked off one, you go on the other one, you build it up, and stuff like that. But yeah, I really don't know what we're gonna do unless some law, like people write letters, be mad about it. Apparently, outrage is the only thing to get anything done.
Somebody sues, like Megan Murphy is suing Twitter. I'm going to be following that very closely. You know, we're all rooting for her. She was the one that was kicked off, of course, she's a feminist, a liberal who was kicked off for misgendering someone, and she just says, no, a man is not a woman. It cannot happen. And she was kicked off Twitter for that. And so I read her entire complaint. It's very thorough. I'm going to be watching it very closely, because if she wins, that changes everything. The precedent is now set. And so it's going to be very interesting. She's not even looking for money, right? So that means she's going
Which
to
I
take.
appreciate.
Yeah, she's not going to settle, right? She wants her Twitter back. And she also says she wants everyone else's Twitter back too. And this crap needs to end. So I'm going to be watching that very closely.
All right. Well, hopefully things get better before they get worse.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on the show, TurtleBoy
Thank
Sports.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
And feel free to plug your stuff. Tell everyone where they can
Oh,
find you.
Yeah, you can find us online at turtleboysports.com. You can also find a book I wrote. So it's a book about. I'll send you a copy of this. I don't know if you got it yet, but it's
Sit on
it's
my
called.
desk. I like it.
I'm TurtleBoy. I used to be a public school teacher, right, for 11 years, and I left the profession because of I couldn't say things that I wanted to say publicly. So I started the blog, and I turned it into a business. And this kind of details the many, many ways in which society tries to stifle or force people to self-censor and not talk about things that are on their minds, and how unhealthy that is for democracy. You can find it on Amazon. Just search for I Am TurtleBoy. I promise you, it's got all 5-star reviews. You'll love it. Yeah, so that's my plug. I'd say find us on Facebook, but by the time you put this video up, that page will probably be down.
You might be right, but I do occasionally post your articles, so hopefully people,
Well,
Facebook hides your articles from me, right?
No, of course. Too dangerous. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll have you back.
Thanks. All right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
I'm Mindy
Bye.
Robinson, and you're watching Red, White, and FU, Unapologetically Patriotic.